Hey guys, I hope you are all having an absolutely blessed day. The Lord is good. I normally start these videos off by simply showing my face and just kind of, giving you an overview of what I'm going to talk about. I'm not going to be showing my face today. It's really late at night. Like right now, this is 2:33 in the morning that I'm recording this video. So, yeah, I'm getting ready for bed, but I just had to talk about this because when I make videos on this channel, it's when I'm really passionate about something and I just want to rant. And if you're new to the channel, this is pretty much the side channel for the main channel, Nintendo Land, where I just sit and I rant, and this is unedited, uncut. I show you gameplay as I just talk, and that's exactly what's going to happen. Now, I made a main video on my main channel over there on Nintendo Land a couple days ago, pretty much just talking about how Nintendo is kind of weird now, that Nintendo has changed over the years, and every company goes through change. But this entire cycle so far, this entire, kind of journey of going from Switch 1 to Switch 2 in the first couple of months of Switch 2 has not been what I expected. And I've been a little down on Nintendo right now. And there's so much that I want to talk about. Like I said, I already made a video on this on my main channel. It's about 15 to 20 minutes long. But this time I really want to dive into it and give you guys my real true feelings about Nintendo right now and how I'm personally feeling. So without further ado, let's dive into it. So from the very beginning, ever since we started preparing ourselves for Switch 2, I felt off. You know what I mean? It just felt like Nintendo didn't have a clear plan as to what they wanted to do with the Switch 2. I know rumors are rumors, and we got to take them for what they are, rumors. And we can't believe everything or anything that we hear on the internet nowadays. But it was very evident that Nintendo was at some point in time gearing up for something. It felt like that they were preparing to reveal the Switch 2 really, really, really early compared to what they did. I think at the beginning of 2024, we started hearing those rumors, and there was this rumor that, of March of 2024 that we would have a big blowout and a big presentation. In fact, Nintendo skipped the February Nintendo Direct that year, and it looked like that's because they were about to give us a huge March presentation, and everybody was kind of saying that this was going to happen. And then about a week before we entered March, everybody kind of backtracked and said, oh, Nintendo just made some changes. We got news that Nintendo changed things around and that instead, it was going to be at the end of the year. So we went through the entirety of 2024, no news, nothing about Switch 2. I remember I was on vacation when this was going on, and the whole entire world was talking about Switch 2. I will never forget it because I remember seeing that one day where all the pictures dropped. You guys remember that? All those leaked images, and it looked so legit and so real, and we was yeah, this is it. And everybody was Nintendo has to do something. They're not going to last throughout the rest of this year if they don't do something. And they didn't do anything. They just wrote it out and nothing came out of it. We went through the rest of the year with, nothing super exciting. There were games for sure, but nothing with Switch 2. And we obviously had to go into the beginning of 2025, still wondering when they were going to reveal the thing. And this is where I really start to feel the weirdness in Nintendo. They've already prolonged this announcement way too long. But they just randomly revealed the thing. I forget if it was January or February. But it was just a random one morning. It was leaked, by the way. Someone, I forgot who, but someone did announce when that was going to happen. I don't know if it was Nate the Hate or that PRO guy. Somebody did it. And we didn't believe them. We were what? No way. And it actually came. One random Thursday morning, Nintendo dropped a trailer on Twitter, on YouTube. It was the most bizarre thing ever. It was just oh yeah, here's Switch 2. It was a minute trailer showing off what Switch 2 looked like, and it looked exactly like all the leaked images looked like. And it just felt underwhelming. It was the first console reveal I think I've ever seen where I just didn't really feel anything. My most excitement was for Mario Kart World that they showed. The quick glimpse, but the console was just yeah, we've seen so many images. People were 3D printing the thing, making mock-ups of what it looked like. It just wasn't exciting, and it was so strange that that's how Nintendo wanted to reveal their brand new console. With Switch 1, there was a whole tweet saying, get ready, we're going to reveal, the NX to you in a week. And they got everybody planned and ready for that trailer. it just felt like the marketing for Switch 1, everything was so smooth and planned out. And Switch 2 just felt rushed. It felt unorganized. It felt sloppy. I don't know what it was. And obviously, we'd have to wait a very long time for that Switch 2 Direct. I think it was from the beginning of the year all the way until April. But we finally get to that April Direct, and you guys know how I felt. I've made it very clear. I wasn't a huge fan of that Direct. I feel like there was only 2 major games with a couple, spin-offs thrown in there, being Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong Bonanza. And I don't know. It felt pretty light for us waiting as long as we did. I was really hoping that they would, line up the rest of the entire calendar year. And I know it was early, but when you go back once again to that 2017 presentation for Switch 1, they really lined up the entire year. You knew when everything was coming out. We had a Mario Odyssey. I can't remember. Did we have a Mario Odyssey release date? Maybe, or they said holiday or something, but at least we knew what was coming out. We knew when Splatoon was coming out. It was the summer, and everything hit its release date when it was supposed to. But they revealed everything from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. Even a new Xenoblade, which wouldn't release until December of 2017. But there was nothing like that. They just kind of planned out the first couple of months for the Switch 2. And a lot of people, were even telling me just be patient and wait, because Nintendo obviously is just doing a quick little, couple of months what to expect. And then in June, surely we'll have another Nintendo Direct. June came, no Nintendo Direct. July came, no Nintendo Direct. And based off of, my gut feeling, I don't think we're going to have a Nintendo Direct in August. Which means Nintendo is literally going to make us wait until September to have a general Nintendo Direct. Now, I could be wrong, and I'm praying that I'm wrong. And even if I'm wrong, it doesn't really change this video at all. It's just strange that Nintendo is taking this method. I've gotten in some fights with some people on Twitter. Not fights, but just, back and forths on Nintendo's marketing. I feel like it's horrible. They had this new strategy where I feel like they want to keep everything secret. Everything's just a big secret. They keep it to their chest. They're keeping everything tight under wraps. And they're now not revealing games until they're a month or 2 months out, which some people might enjoy that. I understand that. I mean, I think a lot of that is because of what they did with games like Tears of the Kingdom, where it just went through constant delays, and Breath of the Wild. And then obviously what's going on with Metroid Prime 4 right now. Where they revealed that thing all the way back in 2017, 2018, and it's just still not out. It's been 8 years, and this game still doesn't even have a release date. It's supposed to launch this year. And it's just this is just so strange for Nintendo. It just doesn't feel like they have a good plan, and they're shoehorning in these random presentations when they need to be having a general one. We just had a partner showcase, which in my opinion was lackluster. There were some things that I truly did enjoy, like that Pac-Man World 2 repack. But when you look at that show, a lot of people are saying this is the first third-party showcase of the Nintendo Switch 2. Surely this is going to be where third-party companies are showing their big third-party games coming to Switch 2. And I got, I got tricked into believing that. I was like, okay, maybe I'm off about something. There were no major AAA games, and even the people that were rumoring and leaking these games, they're there were supposed to be some bigger games in this, and it looks like Nintendo took them out. So I don't know what's going on. Now there's rumors that this week there's going to be a Indie World, and we've already had a Pokemon Presents. We had a partner showcase. Here comes the Indie World. It's just maybe Nintendo is getting everything else that they possibly can out of the way first, sure. But it's just come on, man. This is just painful. And something else that I brought up before is Nintendo seems to have greatly changed how they handle directs now. We used to, even back when they started in 2011, 2012, there was a pretty clear idea of how they worked, and we got a lot of them. I don't know if you guys remember, but we were getting directs almost every month. There was a Wii U, a 3DS, tons of game-specific ones. I thought that was pretty cool, and it just constantly kept us in a loop with information about what was coming out. We never had to worry about what was coming until the end of the Wii U moving into the Switch. Obviously, the wait was worth it, though. It was 100% paid off with one of Nintendo's most amazing years ever in 2017. But even through like 2017 to 2020, Nintendo had a very stable Nintendo Direct output. It was the same thing every single time. It was like a Direct in February, a Direct at E3 time in June, and a Direct in September. And they always followed those rules. 2020 came, shook everything up. Obviously, it shook up the whole industry. And Nintendo's formula changed, and they moved on to having like a partner showcase every month, whether it was a good show or a terrible show. It was how they would be able to get out their third-party announcements until they figured out their first-party ones. But even with that, they had makeup shows. They had the Mario 35 Direct, which was amazing. And then they eventually got back on the course. But I feel like ever since then, it's been different. Nintendo now doesn't have those 3 time slots that are guaranteed every time. It feels like they just kind of now have directs when it fits their plans. So it's almost like we can't even expect them in the time frames that we expect them, at least right now. Maybe they'll get back to normal next year. But even like the last couple of years, there has not been anything, any outbreak or anything causing Nintendo to not have a normal schedule. So I don't know why they've been having this schedule. It doesn't really make sense to me, as if like they're struggling. But yeah, it's just like now there's just, when we're expecting like a February Direct at the beginning of the year, Nintendo has constantly just given us partner showcases the last couple of years. Look what they did this summer, skipped a general Direct, gave us a partner showcase. And almost every single time, if Nintendo gives us a partner showcase, it's because they are skipping a general Nintendo Direct. And that seems to be the case here. It really does feel like they're really going to make us wait until September, which is just crazy to me. What makes this even crazier is the time period that we are in. This is just we are literally still in like month 2. Technically we just entered month 3. So, entered month 3 of the Nintendo Switch 2. And there is not a single new game on the horizon outside of Drag and Drive, which is a $20 little tiny game coming in August. We have Kirby coming, but it's not a new game. It's getting new content for Switch 2 with Forgotten Land, which I'm excited for, but there's no original games coming out that are slated with a release date, and we are in the first week of August, people. Like, this is, man, I don't understand. And it's just like, this is one of those years where you absolutely don't have partner showcases. You have Nintendo Directs where you have these third-party games. You have huge presentations to show what you have. And Nintendo, it doesn't even feel like we are in a new console to me. Mario Kart World comes out, Donkey Kong Bonanza comes out, and it's just like Nintendo is just resting now. Like, oh, that's all you guys needed. Mario Kart World right now is one of the most controversial games that Nintendo has released in a long time. There are people that love the game, and there are people that are just fed up with the game. There are people that are still playing, and there's a lot of people that have quit already to move on to Donkey Kong Bonanza. Now, Donkey Kong Bonanza, on the other hand, seems to be pretty unanimously loved. Like, everyone loves that game for the most part. But what's next? People need to know what's next. And I feel like, with anything, even if you have a long backlog like me, people want to know what to expect, what is coming out, what's next. And what makes this even crazier is the fact that Nintendo has games planned. They have 4 games, apparently, that should be coming in this calendar year, in this holiday season, and none of them have release dates. None of them. And once again, we are in August, and none of them have release dates. Yes, we could be patient, wait until September. But that makes me question, is there not going to be a September game? I mean, that's one of your bigger holiday months. September and October are like huge months for you. Is there not going to be a September game? Because how in the world is Nintendo just going to come out? It might be too late now. Like, what's happening in September? Is Nintendo just going to leave that empty? Because that blows my mind if that's the case. Because there's no way they're going to come out in September and have a Nintendo Direct and say that one of their 4 big games is coming out in September still, while you're having a Direct in September. There's no way. I don't think it's ever happened where Nintendo had a major game coming out and they announced a release date in that Direct that was within that same month. So, is September just going to have nothing? Also in September, we're probably going to be having Mario's 40th anniversary celebration. Is Nintendo just going to chop that down into a small section of the Nintendo Direct? Are they just not going to have a, Mario Direct? Are they not going to have a General Direct and have a Mario Direct? Like, what's going to happen there? Because it felt perfect to me. I was like, Nintendo could bump everything up a little bit, have a huge General Direct like they normally have in September, have it in July, or have it in August. So that way, September is saved for Mario. And you got everything slated. You got some big things announced for next year. Mario can have his own little direct and stuff and have some exciting things. So it's just like, it's really confusing to me. Really confusing. And especially with Nintendo's new strategy, no matter how big the show is, it seems like it's always going to be that same thing where it starts with a big game, the middle has a big game, and then the ending has a big game. And there's 4 games still that we need gameplay on and stuff. So, like, I feel like some of those games are going to fill those slots. So, like, we already are not going to get too many major announcements because, it's going to be filled with third-party games, smaller games that no one cares about, and then a couple of first-party stuff. That's what the Switch 2 Direct did. So why am I not going to believe the next General Direct is going to do that? So it's going to be like this long wait that everybody feels like we're going to get like this huge payoff, and it's not. It's going to be like a good to decent Direct, but it's never going to be anything massive, I don't think, anymore, like that 2017 Switch presentation, where it was just like banger after banger after banger, first party focused completely first. I don't know. It's weird. But like I said, yeah, there's 4 games coming out this year. All of them have been rated, it seems like now, or at least most of them have been rated. We also, like, once again, just sloppiness. Like, there was posters for Metroid Prime 4 that came out and that were apparently in subway stations that read, out now. And we don't even have a release date for the game yet. Like, what are we doing? How bad is this marketing? Like, how bad is this president's ideas and plans? It just feels sloppy. We have no clue what their big holiday game is going to be. Some people still are saying Metroid Prime 4. I don't think that's big enough to be a holiday game. For year 1 of your new console, I don't think it is. As a huge Metroid fan, I'm saying I don't think it is. I think it's probably going to be Splatoon Raiders. That could definitely make the cut as the big holiday game. But a lot of other people still don't think it is going to be just because it's labeled as a spinoff. But I try to tell people just because a Splatoon game is a spinoff doesn't mean it's going to be bad. It means it's just not going to be multiplayer focused, but this time single player focused, which I think could be just as big as a new Donkey Kong, 3D Donkey Kong, or 3D Mario, or even a Zelda. And I know that might sound crazy, but I really do think they're going to get very ambitious with this game. It's going to be a lot better than what people are giving it credit for. But yeah. It's just like you have these games, and that's the problem. There's games. It's not like anyone is asking for more games. Like, sure, I would love maybe a couple of huge things to look forward to, which actually I'll get to in a second. But, I mean, the games coming out are fine. I just want dates for them, But let's get back into that exciting thing, because that's another thing. Nintendo doesn't have any hype right now. Even if they drop all these dates for these games coming out, none of them are enough to really generate some hype for Nintendo. You know what I mean? Donkey Kong really didn't hype a lot of people up. I think Mario Kart so far was like the only one that pretty much, gave Nintendo some hype. People were like skeptical on Donkey Kong before it came out. It was one of those things that was like slept on until that Donkey Kong Bonanza Direct, and then everybody realized, oh shoot, this is going to be an amazing game. And then it came out and everybody loved it. But there's no like really hype game right now. You know what I mean? Like that big open world Zelda that everyone's counting the days until. Or that huge 3D Mario that people are losing sleep over and marking on their calendars. There's nothing like that. And once again, it just feels like Nintendo, their planning was just terrible. It felt like we already waited 8 years from the Switch 1 to the Switch 2. 8 years. Which is one of the longest console generations in history. And it seemed like Nintendo delayed this thing. There was rumors that they delayed this thing to have a big banger killer launch software. And I don't see what the heck they were delaying this thing for. There's no games. Mario Kart World was in development for a very long time. I forgot how many years, but since Mario Kart 8 came out, I think. Like, it was literally being started off as a Switch 1 game. Donkey Kong Bonanza also started right after Odyssey in 2017. So I think like right around 2018 is when it really started development. Donkey Kong Bonanza was also planned to be a Switch 1 game until they decided to move it to Switch 2 to do more of what they wanted to do with that game because of the power. So if Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong Bonanza started off as Switch 1 games just because of, when they started that development, what the heck is Nintendo working on for Switch 2? Was there like no games that they like from the ground up have been working on for Switch 2? Like, you know what I mean? It just doesn't feel like Nintendo planned for any massive, like they didn't have a game from day one, like from 2017, 2018, 2019, where they said, this is going to be a huge Switch 2 title that we're working on now. I'm sure Zelda was, because of Tears of the Kingdom coming out so recently. So this next Zelda game probably from the very beginning has been planned for Switch 2. It'd make a lot of sense. I would even say same thing with this 3D Mario game, because Donkey Kong Bonanza was going to be that Odyssey 2 pretty much. So maybe this Mario game, this 3D Mario game, whatever it is, wherever it is, but Nintendo's new method is they don't reveal things until it's like a couple of months until release, which I'm not a big fan of. I kind of just like being hyped for the next Mario game, for the next Zelda game, and counting down the days. Like, if they just came out and let us know that there's a big 3D Mario game coming out the summer of next year or the spring of next year, or shoot, even the winter of next year, I think it would be enough to keep people really interested in talking and keep the hype up for Nintendo. But there's just nothing to talk about. There's nothing to be hype about. I have messages from my friends. I just got done talking to my friends about this, where they were like, why do I need a Switch 2? And you might say, well, Donkey Kong and Mario Kart. But people are still looking for that huge game. People are still looking for more, options, for more reasons to buy a Switch 2. People don't want to buy a Switch 2 for just 2 games. That's a $450 console for 2 games. And one of those games is $80, and the other being $70. You get what I'm saying? And when you look at the games coming out this year, one's a Kirby spinoff. That's like another racing game. We already got Mario Kart World, but another Kirby racing game. I know it's different. It's more of a fighter racing game, but a brawling racing game. Another Hyrule Warriors, the third one. The second one in the Breath of the Wild world. That's not really going to drive people to buy a Switch 2. You know what I mean? Like, really? And then you have Splatoon Raiders, which could. They don't really talk about it, so I don't know much about it. Metroid Prime 4, which is a Switch 1 and Switch 2 game, so it's not an exclusive. And it's a Metroid game, so who knows how well that's going to do. So you look at this lineup, and it's just like, for a diehard Nintendo fan, it still looks really good. We're excited. But for a casual fan, maybe not so much. Maybe people are going to start scratching their heads soon and wondering, why did I buy a Switch 2? Or why do I even want to buy a Switch 2 this holiday season? Because Nintendo's not giving a lot of reasons. I don't know. This is just strange. And I hate talking about this because, man, it really felt like this was going to be, you was hearing the rumors of like people saying, I remember reading the articles of game journalists and insiders saying, if you thought 2017 was huge for Nintendo and Switch 1, the first year of Switch 2 is going to blow your mind. And it's going to blow 2017 out the water. And I can confidently say it's not even close. 2017 is just still the king. What Nintendo was able to do with the launch year of Switch 1, that just took the world by storm. An open world Zelda game, a 3D sandbox Mario game that we haven't gotten something like since Sunshine on the GameCube. Splatoon 2, a new IP in the form of ARMS, a Mario Ubisoft crossover with the Rabbids, giving you a RPG grid-based like XCOM style game. A brand new Xenoblade game was Xenoblade Chronicles 2, which we haven't seen a Xenoblade game since, the original on the Wii, which was, heavily based in Japan, not even in the US. So, that was amazing. But there was a bunch of other little games sprinkled in there too. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which was an updated, newer version of Mario Kart 8. 1-2 Switch, which wasn't the best game, we all know, but still it was something. But there was just so much that first year, man. Those are just the things that I'm talking about right now. There are still other things that I'm not bringing up. But man, Nintendo was on top of their game, dude. Seriously. And I remember coming out of that year thinking to myself that Nintendo's never going to beat this. Nintendo is truly never, ever going to beat this. And it sucks because it's really feeling like that now. It's not too often where you have a perfect lineup to get a new Mario and a new Zelda in the same year. And I think those are two of Nintendo's biggest franchises by far. And it's very powerful that they were able to pull that off year one. In just a handful of months that they were able to work with. But yeah, Nintendo's new president, it's just new leadership. New ways of going about things. And I'm not the only one confused. I brought this up in my other video, but Kit and Krista were two people that worked at Nintendo. You probably saw them on the Nintendo Minute show that they hosted on YouTube. They left Nintendo a couple years ago and started their own YouTube channel. And they just give us inside information about Nintendo and stuff. And they never did seem worried about, Nintendo waiting to reveal Switch 2. They thought it was kind of strange, but they was like, it's okay. Nintendo's got a plan. But this is the first time I have ever seen them worry. They just posted a video. You can go watch it now where Kit actually talks about how weird Nintendo is right now. He's like, dude, I've never seen Nintendo like this. He's been working with them for years, and he's never seen Nintendo do a strategy like this. It just doesn't make sense. And it just feels like they're just almost slapping us in the face. It's just, before maybe it was cute and funny and stuff. But I'm like, dude, with this new console, you really want to get out an indie world to people? You think that's what general audiences want to see? You think general audiences want to see a partner direct, a partner showcase? I don't get it. I really don't get it. But I had to rant about this. This is something that's just killing me as a Nintendo fan because, like I said, my backlog is long. But I saw a tweet today that made me think, that made me kind of sad but laugh at the same time. Somebody said, my most anticipated 3 Switch 2 games this year was Pac-Man World 2, the new Katamari Roll game, and the new SpongeBob, Titan of the Tide, which is a SpongeBob 3D platformer. And all 3 of those games that are coming out on Switch 2 are not even Nintendo games. Could you, we are in the first 3 months of the new console, and the most hyped game for a lot of people this year is not even a Nintendo game. Let that sink in. I don't get it. I don't get it. And I waited a while because I've been feeling this way with Switch 2. I just don't feel joy, with the Switch 2. I don't. And, you could say, maybe it's just I'm getting older and it's just not the same anymore. And it's not the case because I was so excited. Playing Donkey Kong Bonanza and even not liking Mario Kart World that much, I put in so many hours, well over 100-something hours. 100,000, or not 100,000. Oh, my gosh. But well over 100 hours. But it's just very clear to me that there's no love in what Nintendo's doing right now. There's no there's no hype behind their announcements, really. It feels like it's just wait for us. Wait until we're ready. And all I'm asking for is just info. Why couldn't they give us some dates? Why in the world did they think it'd be fine to skip a general Nintendo Direct right now? This would have been probably one of their better directs that they've had because there's actually, when Nintendo has games that are coming out that aren't really touched on or don't have release dates, those are normally the best Nintendo Directs because on top of big announcements in the beginning, in the middle, and the end, you're also getting like new information on games that are already coming out, which is always a good sign. It's always a good thing. But yeah, I'm just like, everyone keeps saying wait until September, but how do you wait until September and you don't have a single game announced for September yet? So maybe August is it. Maybe September is it. Maybe Nintendo skips all the rest. And maybe Nintendo just quits Nintendo Directs. Who knows? Is this going to be the new norm where we get 1 or 2 general Nintendo Directs a year at random intervals and that's all we get? I don't know. I'm tired. It's 3:18 a.m. and I'm drifting. But let me know what you guys think down below. I love Nintendo, and that's why I'm just so passionate about this, because it just stings. This is the time period I feel like we should be the happiest for Nintendo, new console and stuff. And, maybe this is Nintendo's grand plan. I think someone said before, like, their plan was to announce a bunch of first-party, then a bunch of third-party stuff, and then a bunch of first-party stuff again. So maybe we're still in the midst of the third-party stuff, and then, towards the end of the year in that September timeframe, we're going to get just a boatload of first-party stuff again. But, yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it. There's no real hype for the company right now. So hopefully that hype can come with a general Nintendo Direct soon, whether it be, they announce a bunch of new stuff like a new 3D Mario or something. But we just need dates on the stuff that's coming out this year. But I have a feeling they're just going to drop these dates and overview trailers and new information on Twitter or on their Nintendo Today app or on YouTube, which is just going to be stupid, and I'm going to dread it when they do that, because it just feels like it's just such a lesser excitement, no hype behind it, just like here you go, you crying babies. But yeah, let me know in the comments down below, once again, what you think about Nintendo. Have you also kind of felt down on the Switch 2 hype? Is it just me? Let me know down below. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe. We are super close to 2,000 subscribers, I believe. So please just leave a like and subscribe if you love these long rants, and maybe you're just sitting down, eating dinner, at work, driving, traveling, and you're just listening to this on the go. But if you are, I'm hoping you're having a blessed day and everything is going your way. But thank you so much for tuning in. And like always, I will see you all in the next one. See you guys.